Hey, 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 welcome you guys. We are just about ready to get started. And I'm super excited to be with you guys tonight. We're just waiting for a few more people to hop on with us and we're going to get rocking. My name is Charlotte Snow, and let me just take a moment to welcome you all to tonight's webinar. So in case you're not sure what we're doing here, this is part of our Take Your Education Beyond the Basics, our continuing education series. So what we do here is our intention is really just to educate and empower you with all the knowledge and everything that you need to be able to be successful with the essential oils that you have purchased. So I know some of you may have just gotten your oils in the mail. Some of you may be really new, or you may actually have gotten your oils just in the last few months and maybe you tucked them away on the shelf and weren't sure what to do with them. And so this is for you. This series of classes is really for those of you who have maybe attended a class or just have some basic knowledge, and we're going to help you to take that education way beyond the basics to help you become a healer in your own home. And that's because it's really important. We believe that education is so important because we know that when people have the education and the tools that they need, that they really do make different decisions. When people know better, they really do better. And we know that essential oils are an incredible wellness model and can really change our lives, and they have for me, and I know that they can for you. And so that's why it's so important for me not just to get essential oils into everyone's hands, but also to make sure you feel confident and comfortable with using them. And so tonight is going to be class number 1 of an 8-class series, and we're going to be kind of just getting into the basics tonight. Let's see if we can figure out how to advance this slide. We're going to be getting into class number 1, which is essential oil foundations. So as you can imagine, essential oil foundations, tonight we're going to be covering a little bit of maybe what you've already learned about in your initial class, but we're going to go over some safety. We're going to talk about dilution. We're going to talk about how much is too much. We're going to talk about the recommended daily amounts. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of fun stuff where we talk about how to start to think about different ways of selecting essential oils based on what type of plant or which part of the plant that they come from. So it's really fun. We get to kind of start to learn, how to categorize the different oils by plant and how that might help serve us when it comes to selecting an essential oil. So before we dive in, let me just give you a couple of quick housekeeping things. So we are broadcasting from Zoom over to Facebook. So you might be joining us from Zoom today, or you may be joining us over from Facebook. Either way, you should have an area where you can either chat or comment if you have any questions. So please do that, and we'll do our best to either answer online in the comment in the thread or on or just actually here on the video if it's something that serves everyone. And you may be here, if you are through Zoom, you may be here live. And so if you are, that means you have the ability to turn on your video or to turn off your video, so you guys know that you are here and you're all present like in a webinar room, and you can turn that video off. The next thing it's important for you guys to just maybe screenshot this slide that you're looking at right now. This is a download that I really want all of you to have. And it is everything that we're going to be talking about tonight and more is in this kind of welcome packet. It's a getting started guide that I put together for those who are new to doTERRA and new to essential oils. And again, it's going to go into everything we're talking about tonight and then even more so. So screenshot this and note that this link is case sensitive. So make sure you type it into your browser exactly like you see it on your screen, with all lowercase, bit.ly/welcome info with no spaces. That will take you to, that link will forward you over to, I think it's my Dropbox, and you should be able to from there download that document as well. So it's a welcome packet for new customers. And so yeah, screenshot that. The other thing that I really want you to have before we dive into tonight's topic is some resources. And you might want to screenshot this page as well, because I really suggest that if you're going to be successful and you're going to become an essential oil expert in your home, that you have a few essential resources available to you. So I highly recommend that you select one of these top 2 books that you see on your screen, either the Modern Essentials book or the Essential Life book. Both of these are going to be pretty similar. I would say if I were selecting between these 2, I typically go to my Modern Essentials resource book first. I love both of them, though. It's really hard for me to choose. The Essential Life book has a lot more practical, I would say, applications, some really cool recipes and things that, from making, DIY sunscreens to, how to make cleaning products with your essential oils. It has some really practical recipes in there. Whereas I feel like the Modern Essentials book is a little bit more focused on science. And it also has, I love the usage guide that is in the Modern Essentials book. It's very simple and easy to use, alphabetized by specific symptom or problem that you're trying to address, and finding specific solutions or natural solutions for that specific problem. So I would suggest one of those 2 at minimum to get you started, and I would definitely lean a little bit more towards Modern Essentials, but have one of those books on hand. Now, another tip is that there are apps for some of these. Now, the Modern Essentials actually comes as a mobile app as well. So if you don't want to carry the book around and you prefer your phone, you can get most of the content that's in that Modern Essentials book, at least the important stuff, through the app. So you might want to download the Modern Essentials app. $6 or $7. I'm not sure the current pricing on that, but definitely worth it. There's a couple of the other app that I use quite often and that I love is called Therapeutic Oils. That's the name of the app, and it is based on, oh goodness, it's also based on a book which is escaping me at the moment, but it's another Dr. Me, I think is the name of the book, and that app is based off of that book, so it's called Therapeutic Oils. I seriously use that, you guys, like every single week, because I love how simple it is to go, okay, I have a cough, what can I do for that? And it gives you a very specific recipe and guidelines on what to do. All right, some other really great books that if you are a reader and you want more information, screenshot that. There's some other great books on there. This is also found in that download that I already gave you, so I'm not going to go into detail on those books, but those are some of my favorites. And I definitely recommend any of those. All right, so let's jump into tonight's topic, again, essential oil foundations, and let's talk about how to use your oils and make sure we start with a really solid foundation and understanding of how to use your oils. So your oils are labeled for the type of use, and we're going to get into what that means. I'm going to show you exactly how to know how to use them, whether that's aromatically, topically, internally, and how to do that. In the Modern Essentials book, and also in the online catalog, which you guys can go to doTERRA.com and download the online catalog, you'll find a quick reference chart. And the quick reference chart is something that's handy to print out, laminate, have on hand, so that you know, okay, does this oil need to be diluted or does it not need to be diluted? Can it be used internally? Can it not be used internally? So rather than having to carry your book around, the quick reference chart, I highly recommend printing. So the other thing that I want to get into a little bit is safety, and we're going to talk a lot about that tonight as well. So one of the things that is important is that there are some safety guidelines with using essential oils, but I want you to realize that the amount of occurrences of issues where people actually have any sort of adverse reactions is so low. Like, we're talking less than a 1/10%. I mean, it's so minute, but we do want to make sure that that you guys understand the safety guidelines so that those things don't happen to you. And really, when it comes to safety, skin sensitivity is really the primary safety issue, and really the primary thing that gets reported as far as adverse reactions go. And we can really eliminate that risk completely just by diluting our oils, which we're going to talk about tonight. The big safety guidelines to follow, the biggest safety at least guideline to follow, is to keep the essential oils out of your eyes, out of your ears, and out of your nose. So usually when we hear of adverse reactions, to be totally honest, it's usually a lack of common sense. And sometimes when we see a problem, it's because people have done some interesting things with their oils that I wouldn't recommend you do. So, dropping an essential oil directly into your eye is going to burn. Do not drop the essential oil directly down the ear canal, even though you might choose to use essential oils for ear discomfort, which is really actually how I got originally introduced to essential oils. You don't put them directly down the ear canal. You can use them on your ears by applying them around the outside of the ears or onto a cotton ball and then lay the cotton ball over the ear, but we never directly drop the essential oils down the ear canal. And we don't put the essential oils up the nose, okay? Because these are very sensitive areas and it's going to burn. It's going to be very uncomfortable. And if you have an oil like oregano, it's going to be very caustic to the skin. So that's your biggest safety guidelines. Now, the other thing is that when you dilute, another safety guideline is you want to dilute with a carrier oil, not with water. So if you happen to get an essential oil somewhere where you didn't intend it to go, or if you experience discomfort when applying to your skin, then you please use a carrier oil or some kind of pure vegetable oil to rinse and dilute the area. If you try to rinse it with water or you try to dilute it with water, it will increase the discomfort because oils are not water soluble. So again, just remember, dilute with carrier oil, not with water. And if you have discomfort, don't try to wash it off, okay? Big tip there. So these are the 3 ways that we can use essential oils, the 3 different application methods, and then we have the 3 different skin sensitivity. When I talked a minute ago about how your oils were labeled for usage, this is what I was talking about. So ATI is your application methods, and those stand for aromatically, topically, and internally. And in your class, you should have already learned about what those 3 ways means. But basically, aromatically would be out of a diffuser or directly smelling it out of the bottle, or maybe like the steam mug technique where you get steaming hot water and put it into a mug. You put a few drops of essential oil into the mug, and the steam then carries the essential oils up and into the nose. So if you had some sinus issues going on, you could put drape a towel over your head and then inhale the steam from the mug. So these are different ways that we can use essential oils aromatically. Usually we use them aromatically for respiratory support, if our sinuses are having an issue, if we're having difficulty with any kind of difficulty with our respiratory system. Aromatic, either of the ways that I just described, is a wonderful way to use them. We also use them aromatically quite a lot for supporting emotions, and you'll learn more about that in one of our later classes, but it's a very powerful way to change someone's state. So if they're feeling sad, if they're feeling unmotivated, different states that we want to shift, and we want to feel more motivation, we want to feel happier. Aromatic use is a great way to shift our state. Then we can also use, and really anytime you use the oils aromatically, they're actually getting into your bloodstream and they're going to affect your entire body. So the aromatic is not just limited to those 2 ways, but those are 2 of the big ways and reasons why we use it aromatically. Secondly, topically. So typically, I think of topically, again, putting them on your body immediately gets into your bloodstream, gets to every cell in your body, and can be very effective for a number of different reasons. But generally, when I put them on topically, I am going to a specific area of concern. So if my shoulder hurts or my knee hurts, so for example, I went on a hike yesterday and came back with a really sore knee from an old injury from years ago, and went straight for my Deep Blue and got that put on there topically. All right, so it's great to affect a specific area. That might also be your tummy. You might have a stomach ache or some bloating, and you might want to go directly to that area and apply the essential oil topically. Also, there's a couple of techniques. One you'll learn later called the aroma touch technique. That's in a later class. And that is actually done topically on the spine and the bottoms of the feet. Topically, we oftentimes use these visceral reflex points, like the reflex points in our feet or our ears or hands or spine, that target specific organs or other areas of the body to create a whole body experience. So topically is not also limited just to a one specific area either. So, and then the third way is that we can use them internally, and we can do that by putting the essential oils into a capsule and taking them internally in a capsule, by putting them in you can put them in water or teas, or in a spoonful of coconut oil and put a drop in there and take it that way. I've made throat sprays. I've taken them under my tongue. So there's a number of different ways that we can use them internally. A lot of these ways you'll learn as you go through the rest of these classes. But just keep in mind ATI, because those are your symbols when you're looking through your Modern Essentials book, or you're looking through the quick resource reference guide. It'll say AT or I, and you'll know, oh, I can take this oil all three ways, or no, I can just take this particular oil A and T, but it doesn't have an I there next to it. That means I can't use this oil internally. Not every oil can be used internally, but most of them can, so you want to look at your reference sheet for that. Okay, skin sensitivity. When you look at your resource sheet, you'll also see the NSD, which stands for neat, sensitive, and dilute. So if it has an N, that means that that particular oil is really gentle and it's really safe for your skin. And if you chose to use it neat, it would probably be fine on your skin. It wouldn't cause any issues. Now, if it has an S on the label, that means sensitive. And if you have young skin or sensitive skin or maybe elderly skin, then you should definitely consider diluting that oil. And if it has a D on it, that means you need to dilute that oil all the time, because it's going to be a caustic oil to your skin that could be very hot, spicy on the skin, could irritate the skin, could even burn the skin. So we want to dilute those oils. So one of the, I'm going to come back to that slide in a second. So one of the questions I get asked all the time is about dilution, and it really comes down to the specific oil actually. Some oils need to be more diluted than others. And so this just gives you a little bit of an idea of which oils might be hotter and need more and require more dilution. Oregano, cinnamon, clove, thyme, and cassia are all very hot oils that can be very caustic to the skin. So if you're going to be applying them, cassia, for example, is a 9-to-1 ratio. 9 drops of a carrier oil to 1 drop of an essential oil is what you should, the minimum dilution that you should use, because it could burn the skin. Whereas clove, maybe not quite as hot, but still pretty hot, a 4-to-1 dilution. Oregano, 7-to-1 dilution. And another good idea when you're first getting started with essential oils is to apply them to the bottoms of the feet. If you're unsure or how to use them, the skin on the bottoms of your feet is really safe. It's not as sensitive as other parts of your body. And so if you're unsure of how to dilute, or if you're diluting enough, or if you don't have any carrier oil with you or whatever, I will just go to the bottoms of the feet, because, and it's kind of like a good first choice for us with our kids too, that when they have more sensitive skin, it's just a safe place when you're getting started. I also love the spine. It's also one of my favorite places with some massage and touch to combine that together. It's also a very effective place to apply the oils. But just be aware of these differences between the different oils and how hot they are. So when in doubt, dilute. So if you're not sure, and if you don't have all of those numbers memorized, which frankly I don't either, I know just by experience which ones are really hot, and usually I learn by experience when I make a mistake. But you'll be okay if you make a mistake too, I promise. But when in doubt, just dilute, because you cannot dilute the efficacy of the oil. What you're doing when you use a carrier is you're slowing down the absorption of that essential oil, so it's penetrating a little bit more slowly. You're putting a heavier molecule onto a lighter weight molecule. You're sealing those essential oils, those volatile oils, down upon the skin and allowing them to absorb a little bit more slowly into the skin, and diluting them so they're not so hot on the skin. So I love fractionated coconut oil. That's my favorite. Any kind of vegetable oil will work here as a carrier oil, whether that's an olive oil or a vegetable oil. It could be an almond oil, it could be a jojoba, lots of different choices. I like fractionated coconut oil because it absorbs really nicely into the skin. It's really clean and not as heavy, and it provides a really nice soothing barrier to the skin without clogging the pores, so I can use it on my face. For example, one thing I like to do at night before I go to bed is to, do my normal nighttime cleaning of my skin and toning and all of that, but then using some carrier oil with an essential oil. Usually I will select one that helps me to sleep. So I might use Serenity or cedarwood or lavender and apply that with my carrier oil as like a moisturizer before going to bed. And it's great for the skin, but it also, I get the double bonus there of it also helping me to sleep. Fractionated coconut oil is also great for any dry skin, troubled skin. It's not greasy, and it's really blends really well with essential oils. So it's soluble with the essential oils, which means if you're making blends and you're putting them in roller bottles and you're making your own custom blends, it's a really nice carrier oil to use that is soluble with all the essential oils. It's also colorless and odorless, so it's not going to stain anything, and it's not going to go rancid, which coconut oil that's not been fractionated hardens, and it does have an odor that you may or may not love, and you may not want to smell coconut oil with your essential oils. That may not be the aroma that you're going for. And the regular coconut oil will eventually go rancid. It does have a shorter shelf life than the fractionated. So those are some reasons why I like that. So dilution, that was one of the, back to kind of like a general, you might want to screenshot this as well. This is a dilution chart that kind of gives you an idea if, we're not specifically talking about any specific type of oil, just kind of across the board, how much do I need to dilute for a baby versus a child versus an adult? So a 1% dilution for children, as you see here, is about 1 drop to 1 teaspoon of carrier oil. For an adult, this is for, I would say, just your everyday usage. This isn't like a critical issue that's going on that you're trying to work on, but just your everyday general usage of oils, 2 to 4% dilution, which would be about 3 to 6 drops per teaspoon of carrier. So screenshot that. That might be helpful. I do use the oils neat occasionally, and I do heavier dilution, or I do less dilution in certain situations, when we're sick and things like that. But this is a good everyday overall percentage. I want to go back to this slide, which I skipped over a minute ago. One of the questions I get a lot with safety and so forth is how much is too much? And so this chart you can find on doTERRA.com's website. And I like it because it gives you sort of your ideal amounts that you're shooting for per application, as well as how much is too much in a 24-hour period. One of the other questions I get often asked is, can I mix the oils? Can I mix frankincense and lavender and breathe or whatever? So yes, you can. There's no contraindications with mixing and matching your essential oils. You can use them all together, but you kind of want to shoot for a specific amount at one time. So if you're using them on the skin, 3 to 6 drops is really your kind of targeted ideal amount, you know, notwithstanding maybe some different rare situations where you might use more. But on the skin, 3 to 6 drops is ideal. And in a 24-hour period, dermal, which is on the skin, you don't really want to exceed 12 to 36 drops over a 24-hour period. That's as an adult. As a child, we might use a little bit less, so 1 to 2 drops at a time with a 3 to 12 drops over a 24-hour period. And then you can see the numbers here. Aromatic, if you're diffusing it, there really isn't in a diffuser going to be a maximum, so not really an issue to worry about there. Internally, 2 to 4 drops for an adult to be using as an ideal amount per application, and then 12 to 24 drops in a 24-hour period. So screenshot that. That's another great little chart to keep on hand when you're like, I don't know, how much is too much? Is this okay? Am I using too much? And like I said, there's some flexibility here as well. There are times where we've done, where we've had someone who is really, really sick and we've exceeded these numbers for a short duration of time because that was preferred to other options. So, all right, let's go back to where we were. So let's talk quickly about why plants, and then I want to go through and tell you some of my other favorite oils that might be lesser known or less common oils than maybe you've learned about it already in the past. So in a plant, essential oils perform many functions. They help to regulate the plant's growth. They regulate plant metabolism. They function as the plant's enzymes. They build the plant's immune system. So I love that. I always think of the essential oils as really what protects the plant, keeps the plant, wards off predators, and it is really the plant's immune system. And so we can use essential oils for many of the same reasons that plants use essential oils. So when a plant is cut, it produces an oleogum resin, which helps to initiate the healing in the plant. And oleogum resin is an action that comes out in the form of a volatile oil, gum, and resin. So essential oils, the plant creates essential oils as what we call secondary metabolites to help to heal the plant. And like I said already, that can mean a lot of different things, from protecting the immune system from the plant to fighting off funguses, to fighting off bacteria, to fighting off different pests. And again, we can use those molecules that the plant creates for its own protection and its own life for our own health and healing. So one of the things I've heard people say, and it's kind of a strange thing to say, but as I share a story or two with you, it might kind of make sense why we say essential oils are smart. So one of the ways, let me tell you some of the ways that they're smart. Essential oils absorb into the skin and the body system really quickly. And this has to do with their chemistry, which I'm not going to get into today, even though I'm super tempted to right now because I love talking about it. But in one of our later classes, class number 8, I believe, we get into more about essential oil chemistry. But just understand that because of the essential oil chemistry, it gives it some special superpowers that other things can't do. And one of the superpowers that it has is that it is able to pass through the skin barrier. It's able to pass through the cell wall, the cell barrier, and it's able to pass through the blood-brain barrier. So all of these things in our body, our skin, our cells, our brain, have this it's a barrier, but it's not necessarily a solid barrier. It's more of a sieve. It allows certain things to pass through and other things not to pass through. But essential oils have the unique chemistry to be able to pass through the skin and pass through the cell and pass through that brain barrier. So it allows it to be able to affect our body systems very quickly. And what it's able to do then is to promote proper cell defense and integrity both inside and outside the cells. So let me give you a quick example of this. So think of your cells. There's a really cool YouTube video out that shows how a virus enters into our cell, how it really takes over the cell and starts to create copies of that virus cell, which then spread throughout the body. So because the virus enters into the cell, it works from inside the cell to be able to make those copycat viruses. And when that happens, it's protected by that cell wall, so that when you take an antibiotic, what happens? You guys know when you've gone to the doctor and you've had a virus, the doctor tells you, an antibiotic's not going to work for this because it's a virus. What is happening is that virus is hidden. It's sneaky. It's hidden inside that cell. So an antibiotic, which cannot penetrate that cell wall, can't reach that virus, and it can't kill that virus. So the doctor tells you, go home, drink lots of water, and rest, and it'll just pass. Well, essential oils do have the ability to pass through that cell wall and enter into our cell to be able to promote and help defend that cell, not just on the outside of the cell, but from within. And that makes essential oils really smart. Okay. So another way that essential oils are smart is they help to ward off environmental and seasonal threats. Sneezing, itching, things that that we experience through the different seasons of the year, through different environments and climates. Essential oils have the ability to help to protect our immune system and to be able to help fight off some of those threats. And another way essential oils are smart is they help to promote healthy circulation, and they help to enhance our mood. Now, one fun story that I like to share is about a plant in South America, and I can't remember exactly where, somewhere in South America, but it's a lima bean. And this story just kind of helps to sort of see how essential oils work in nature and how they kind of work as communication between plants and insects to protect the plant, and how they are smart. So there's this bean that grows in South America, and it has a specific type of mite that will eat at it and kill it. It will eat away at it until the plant dies. However, there is something that happens when that mite starts to infect that plant. The plant will release an aroma into the air, which is what? It's an essential oil. It will release that essential oil into the air. The wind will carry that aroma out, and it will attract a specific type of wasp that will follow that scent, follow that aroma back to that plant. And guess what that particular wasp feeds on? It feeds on that same mite that is attacking that plant. And so here comes this insect to the rescue of that plant. So this just gives you kind of a really cool glimpse into Mother Nature and how the communication of essential oils is really the messenger between the plant and the insects to be able to protect and ward off threats. So I love that, because I think that really sort of illustrates a lot of what happens in nature. Okay, so quickly I just want to look at the different parts of the plant that essential oils come from and share a few oils that are in each of these categories. So we have the oils that come from the flower, the citrus and berries. They come from leaves and twigs, the bark and wood, the resin, the seeds, the roots. So these are the different parts of the plant that might be where your essential oils are coming from. So we have your ginger is going to come from a root, right? We have lavender that's going to come from the flowers. We have vetiver, which is going to come from the roots. We have coriander, which is going to come from a seed, right? So we have different types of oils, and sometimes the oil comes from a specific part of the plant, or maybe multi parts of the plant. So as I said, we are going to get into more science on not only the chemistry, but also how essential oils are extracted in class number 8. But I just want to introduce you to the idea without going into a whole lot of detail yet, because again, we're going to get into this in the chemistry class. But I want you just to see how there are certain, these different parts, these different areas of the plant actually have some similar attributes in how they function in the body. So our citrus and berry oils, like bergamot, grapefruit, lemon, lime, orange, these are going to be, in our berry oils, they're going to be cleansing, strengthening, invigorating, embracing, energizing. They're going to have some similar attributes. So one of the oils that I'd like to introduce you to tonight is bergamot. And I love bergamot for what it helps us in terms of our emotional body and how bergamot supports our emotions and gives us a boost of self-confidence. It's an amazing oil to use for sadness and depression, and those who are dealing with maybe some body image issues, or maybe a self-hatred or loathing towards one's own body. Bergamot is there to provide that sense of confidence. I love the aroma of it. It is an oil, as you can see here, as we just talked about, it can be used aromatically, topically, and internally. It has an S, which means it should be diluted, especially for young and sensitive skin. And it comes from a fruit. It comes from the rind of a citrus fruit, and is cold pressed and expressed from that rind. So this is a beautiful oil to look at, and if you're looking for something that's going to be calming and soothing to our emotions, a bergamot might be something you might want to try. So let's move on and look at the flowers. So again, a lot of the oils come from flowering plants like clary sage or helichrysum or jasmine or lavender, Roman chamomile, rose, where we are procuring and distilling, which we'll get into later, the specific flower of that plant. So these are going to have similar attributes as well, where they're going to be light, they're going to give us some energy and focus, they're going to help us feel lifted, they're delicate, it's a fresh aroma, they're going to have some similarities. So let me tell you a little bit about helichrysum. Helichrysum is a flower, and we use it a lot for skin issues. We use it to help reduce appearances of blemishes, for cuts, for wounds, for bruising. It's an amazing oil to help to diffuse bruising. It's also an incredible anti-inflammatory oil, and we use it to help with bleeding. So if we've had an injury to the skin, or a scrape, or an abrasion, or a cut, we use helichrysum for that. It helps. I've seen helichrysum almost, in a laceration, actually kind of coat over that laceration and stop bleeding. And I've used it also. It's one of the components of Deep Blue, which is why it's also there. The reason why it's there is because it's very anti-inflammatory. It's also been shown to possibly help to promote a healthy metabolism and also to improve the appearance of skin. Again, it can be used all three ways, and this is an oil that you can dilute if you want to, but it actually does not require that you dilute it. All right, let's look at leafy oils like basil, cilantro, eucalyptus, geranium, melaleuca, oregano, peppermint, spearmint. These are going to provide clarity, and they're going to be very uplifting and energizing, and a really fresh smell. So one of the oils that might fit into this category that you may or may not be familiar with is marjoram. And I love marjoram for its calming properties to the nervous system. Now we're going to talk about, in a later class, we're going to talk about body systems, and we're going to talk about the nervous system and which oils are good for the nervous system, and the digestive system and which ones are good for the digestive system. But when you think of marjoram, I want you to think about the nervous system and how this oil helps to calm that particular body system. I want you to also think of marjoram. It starts with the letter M, and I want you to think of muscles, because if you have a pulled or sore muscle, marjoram is an excellent oil to choose to use topically on that affected area. It also helps to promote the immune system, and it also might be connected to promoting and supporting the cardiovascular system as well. So those are your key ways that this particular oil is used. And it, again, all three ways: aromatically, topically, internally, and it can be used neat, which means, again, no dilution. But you don't have to do that. You always, when in doubt, can dilute your oils. Twig oils like cypress or Siberian fir are going to be strengthening, energizing, And white fir is one of my top oils that when someone is dealing with pain, especially bone pain or arthritis or inflammation, I love to incorporate white fir into, or now we call it Siberian fir, so it could be that's used interchangeably, white fir, Siberian fir. It comes from the needle of the plant, and I love to use this after strenuous exercise to massage it into the skin. It's going to be soothing. I love to diffuse it. If you get into start learning about the emotional side of each of these oils, you'll find that white fir has some really very cool things that it can do for negative emotions, especially those that are kind of generational, generational things that we've inherited from our parents or grandparents that maybe don't serve us. White fir is a great oil to help purge some of that. It's going to be an energizing oil. It's going to have an energizing effect, and it will help to reduce stress and help evoke a feeling of stability, energy, and empowerment. So this oil can be used aromatically, topically, internally, and it can be used neat as well. So we also have the bark and wood. So some of our oils like arbor vitae, birch, cassia, cedar wood, they come from the wood of the tree. They come from the bark. And these are generally going to be warm oils. They're going to be balancing, grounding, and they're going to have a little bit of an exotic smell or aroma, and they're going to be inspiring. So one of my top favorites in this category is actually sandalwood. And I love this oil. It's, to me, a very exotic smell. That really grounds me and helps me to de-stress. I use it in meditation, I use it in yoga, and it really enhances my mood specifically. So you can apply 1 or 2 drops also to wet hair to help restore moisture in your hair. You can diffuse it for enhancing the mood, and it's great for the skin. So you can use it to help reduce appearances of any skin imperfections as well. So lastly, we're going to talk about the root oils like ginger and vetiver. These are also going to be grounding. When you think of roots, I want you to think of like how they ground in that plant and balance that plant, and how they're earthy and they center that plant, and those attributes are kind of what they do for us as well. So vetiver is an amazing oil. If you haven't heard of this one, there is a YouTube video that I'd love for you to go watch. Just search doTERRA vetiver on YouTube. And it is an amazing oil to help support ADD, ADHD, and emotions. It's going to be calming, grounding, and this is an oil that I will go to also to help me to relax at night so that I can sleep. If my mind is chattering and I can't turn off the noise, I love this oil because it helps me to calm. It just calms those emotions. Again, you can use this aromatically, topically, and internally, and it can be used on sensitive skin, or it has an S for sensitive skin. So if you do have sensitive skin, you might want to dilute this one. This one's a heavy oil that it's interesting when you put it on the skin, it lasts for a really long time. You can usually smell it even to the next day because of the heaviness of the molecules. Oh, I forgot, we're going to talk quick about resin oils. Resin oils, of course, how could I forget? Frankincense and myrrh. These are amazing. They have similar properties where they're both going to be very supportive of promoting a healthy inflammatory response, which we know so many diseases and problems that we have is due to chronic inflammation. These also help to support the immune system. They're great for the skin, and they're also going to be calming to the emotions. So you probably already know a little bit about frankincense from your first class that you attended. So I want to tell you a little bit about myrrh. Myrrh is an oil that I use actually quite often for the skin, and I use it also, for fighting inflammation and supporting the immune system. I feel like this is a great oil to use for any skin issues. If you have an abrasion that's weeping, I like to use myrrh. I've had bug bites that have started to cause, I had a black widow bite one time that was actually it was a little bit weepy, and it was causing some cellulitis that was spreading up my arm, and I was using, trying to keep everything at bay with my oils like Purify and Basil and Melaleuca, and it was doing really well. But when I added myrrh, it just like that, it was so much more improved, just because it's so great for the skin and inflammation. And so I would consider adding myrrh to everything, because I think myrrh is kind of like this magical oil that helps magnify the other oils that you're using. And so I like to use it when I'm doing On Guard for immune system, or when I'm using something for my skin as well. So, okay. All right. Seed oils like your coriander, cardamom, fennel are going to have similarities in that they are going to support the hormones, support the digestive system, support your liver, support your reproductive system. Fennel is a great oil for your digestive system. So you might know in certain cultures that fennel is incorporated into recipes or on the plate to help with digesting your food, to help promote that healthy digestion. It also is great for liver function and circulation, and I just love it for everything for the tummy. I really love it. I will put it into some warm water with a drop of fennel and a little spoonful of honey to help with any sort of stomach issues that are going on. And that's because you can use it internally, topically, and aromatically as well. Fennel, for you breastfeeding mamas, is a great oil to use topically over the breast area to help promote an increased milk production. So just a little side note there, if you feel like you aren't producing enough milk and you need to up that a little bit, fennel might be an oil that helps with that. It's also an oil that helps to fight sweet tooth cravings. So if you're dealing with like craving sweets a lot, put it into that tea like I mentioned, and that can help with that as well. All right, so we're going to wrap up for tonight. I want to thank you guys for being here. If you have any questions, again, we'll do our best to answer them in the comments. If you don't know about the Loyalty Rewards program, please see that link, that download that I sent you, the download at the beginning of this webinar. Go back and listen to the beginning of the webinar to get that download. This is the most cost-effective way and the smartest way to get your products at the lowest price. So you guys already have a wholesale account, but when you guys want to replace some of that product, or you want to try some of the other oils, you don't want to just go online or go to somebody else to purchase them. You guys already have a wholesale account of your own that's going to allow you to get a 25% discount, plus if you choose to participate in the Loyalty Rewards program, you can get up to an additional 30% back in points that you can use for free product. And I love doing this because just the other day I cashed out probably close to 500 points that I had accumulated through the Loyalty Rewards program, and was able to get like $500 worth of product completely for free. So this is an optional program, completely optional, but like I said, it is the smartest way because you can get so much free product, and you can save this way really up to like 55% off of the retail pricing. So if you don't know how to do this, please reach out and ask the person who introduced you to doTERRA how to do this, or reach out to me or post in our Facebook group. And lastly, if you're interested in learning how you can get free oils every month, or how you can get your oils possibly even paid for, doTERRA has a beautiful compensation plan that where they really reward those who share the gift of health with others. Because like I said in the beginning, we believe that when people know better, they do better. And it really is my mission and my purpose to be able to get these oils into every single person's hand. And if you start to see the results like I did when you start using the oils, and you want to be able to bless other people with that type of help and healing, then you can actually earn a little bit of income or a little bit of commission by referring. And this is really how our world works today, right? Through affiliate codes and through links and through referrals. And you can be referred. You can refer your friends and family and potentially make a little bit of income. Some people choose to just, earn a little bit to get their oils paid for. Some people choose to create a supplemental income, and some people choose, as I ended up doing, to create and replace a previous income by sharing and helping other people. So if that's something that interests you, definitely reach out to the person who enrolled you, reach out to me, and we'd be happy to mentor you and show you how to get started with that. Next class is going to be on daily vitality, and we're going to be talking about how we can nutritionally support our bodies so that the oils just work even better. So that's it, you guys. That is, in a nutshell, our schedule of what's to come. And again, class number 1 we just did tonight was Essential Oil Foundations. I thank you guys for being here so much. I know you guys have a lot of places where you could spend your time, and I'm grateful that you chose to spend it with me today, and I hope that we were able to provide you a ton of value. So thanks again, and we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.